For somebody to have justified themselves using one of the most detectable fertility agents in the fucking world, like, is this something you would, even if you were to try and do something like that, like it would be far more sensical, even if you were to use something that is on the banned substance list, to be using like an LH mimic or like a gonadotropin releasing hormone, like something that's an analog that is, you know, undetectable or even exists that you could hypothetically try and, you know, like shimmy your way out of through an explanation that it's like, you know, it's in and out of your system way faster or whatever. But with this, like, there is so little leeway for fucking around. It is so detectable, it's so not supposed to be there, that it would be one of the last choices you would intentionally use as a performance enhancing drug. So
What's up, guys? Welcome to 80/20 Sports. I'm your host, Alvin Holden, also known as Project 80/20. And in today's video, we're going to talk about Conor Benn. And I kind of feel bad about this one because Conor Benn was one of the fighters that I was trying to highlight as kind of up and coming fighters. He has a world champion father in Nigel Benn, both fighters out of the UK. I was really hoping to highlight him because of the father-son dynamic. I think that that's something that's really special and needs to be highlighted. Unfortunately, he has come into some controversy. Conor Benn had also been training in the United States, training with fighters here, trying to build up his status here in the United States by training at a couple gyms here. And basically, his father was in a fight with Chris Eubanks, also UK fighter. They had two really hard, heavy fights, the two gentlemen, and to be honest, neither one of them was the same afterwards. And this is a little bit of a grudge match, son versus son. Both of them are coming from, Eubanks is coming from a higher weight class, Benn is coming from a lower weight class. They're fighting at a catch weight in the middle, which could explain why, if he did, oh yeah, he got popped for a banned substance. In fact, let's just get into the article. It says here, after days of drama, the fight between Conor Benn and Chris Eubanks Jr. officially postponed from its planned Saturday date. The news comes after it was reported on Wednesday that Benn had failed a drug test administered by the voluntary anti-doping agency. Matchroom Boxing released a statement on Thursday confirming the bout would not take place as scheduled. The voluntary anti-doping agency is VADA, also referred to as VADA. So if you hear me say VADA, that's what I mean. VADA is internationally recognized and recognized in the United States as being the testing facility. Now, the UK has its own testing apparatus. He tested clean in the UK's testing apparatus, but they both agreed to also do VADA also, and he popped on VADA. After news of Benn's failed drug test for clomiphene, a fertility drug that is on the World Anti-Doping Agency list of banned substances, as it can also be used to aid with testosterone levels in men, the British Boxing Board of Control prohibited the fight from taking place. The British Boxing Board of Control said in a statement that the fight was not in the interest of boxing. Matchroom issued a statement immediately following the BBBOC's refusal to allow the fight to go ahead, stating that both fighters still wished to fight. While VADA was handling the drug testing for the fight at the decision of the fighters and promoters, Benn had passed all the drug tests issued by the UK Anti-Doping Agency, which handles all the BBBOC's official drug testing. Matchroom and lead promoter Eddie Hearn believed that that was reason enough the fight should be allowed to proceed. So the promoters, Eddie Hearn, was still kind of pushing for the fight to go on, obviously, because he's the one with all the skin in the game. We have been made aware that a random anti-doping test for Conor Benn conducted by the voluntary anti-doping agency returned an adverse analytical finding for a trace amounts of a fertility drug. The Matchroom statement read, "The B sample has yet to be tested, meaning that no rule violation has been confirmed. Indeed, Mr. Benn has not been charged with any rule violation. He is not suspended and he remains free to fight. Mr. Benn has since passed a doping control test conducted by the UK Anti-Doping Agency, the anti-doping authority to which the British Board of Control has delegated its doping control testing for the bout. Mr. Benn has passed all the doping control tests conducted by UKAD. Essentially, only one sample that they tested had trace amounts. Unfortunately, and I'll explain this in just a second, it's one of those things that it shouldn't be in the system at all. It doesn't take much for him to pop for it, meaning that, you know, it's not like, okay, I know I have testosterone. Is my testosterone above normal or lower than normal? Kind of normal, not really normal. Up a couple points, down a couple points. Did it just spike all of a sudden and then come straight down? This particular hormone or this particular chemical, just the sheer fact that it's there in the first place is a bit problematic. But there is one YouTuber that put it together in the most eloquent way that I've been able to find. I've, you know, been looking up handfuls of doctors and the drug itself. It doesn't take much research to understand what this particular drug does, but this particular video, and I'll also put this in the description below, gives by far the best description in the shortest amount of time that I've been able to find.
For somebody to have justified themselves using one of the most detectable fertility agents in the fucking world, like, is this something you would, even if you were to try and do something like that, like it would be far more sensical, even if you were to use something that is on the banned substance list, to be using like an LH mimic or like a gonadotropin releasing hormone, like something that's an analog that is, you know, undetectable or even exists that you could hypothetically try and, you know, like shimmy your way out of through an explanation that it's like, you know, it's in and out of your system way faster or whatever. But with this, like, there is so little leeway for fucking around. It is so detectable, it's so not supposed to be there, that it would be one of the last choices you would intentionally use as a performance enhancing drug. So to me, there's like one of two options here, probably, that I would guesstimate is he either thought he was getting something else that was tainted with this, or he actually got trace amounts of this tainted in something he was taking that he otherwise thought was clean, or he was just being very not being careful enough and ended up getting something tainted in something that he took, or was spiked by somebody else who really knows for certain. But ultimately, you know, if I was an athlete, or now again, obviously, you know, my stance as an athlete would be totally different than most guys who don't, you know, fucking study this stuff or whatever, but if you're an athlete who is at the top of the sport, you would be getting advisement from somebody who's reasonably educated, presumably. And if they ever told you to take Clomid for performance enhancing drugs, as a performance enhancing drug, like that would be like, I feel like even like an idiot athlete would probably be like, isn't that the drug that, like, you know, so-and-so tested positive for? Isn't that like a pretty detectable one? Like, it takes a quick fucking Google search to be like, detection time of Clomid, and it's fucking greater than 4 months. Like, this is not hard information to find. Like, this would not be something you would be intentionally using, in my opinion, unless you were an idiot.
And there you have it. Wouldn't take this unless you're an idiot. So again, you know, from everything that I found, you know, I mean, you can't really mess with VADA. They find it. Like, they do it. That's what they do. They find stuff and ways to catch people cheating. So for this particular drug for him to get caught with this particular drug in this particular way, seems like there's probably something else going on and we don't have the entire story. But I'm going to reserve the right to pass judgment until all the facts come out. And I just wanted to at least share this part because it's been really easy to drag a melanated man through the mud in the media. So I wanted to do my part of at least saying, look, the guy he popped for something, but you know, the idea that it happened the way that they're trying to say is, you know, it's cheater. I mean, again, everyone's looking for an edge, but I don't know if it's quite as sinister as people believe it to be. But once again, you're a professional athlete and you're responsible for what you put in your body. So that's on you, son. But anyways, I'm gonna have to get up out of here. Ladies and gentlemen, Erykah Badu said it best. I'm an artist. I'm sensitive about my shit, and I'll holler at you guys in the next one. Peace.